You, Madam Chair, and thank each of you for being here today for such a lengthy bit of time to just really kind of discuss this serious attack on our constitutional rights. We can't tell you how much this means to me. And you know, generations of women have fought for their place in society. They fought for the right to vote. They fought for a seat in the university classroom, a seat in the boardroom, and a seat in our own government. And they fought for the freedom to make our own decisions about our bodies, our health, and our families. Generations of women secured these gains so that we could build on their efforts toward a just and equitable society. We cannot allow their work to be undone. We've seen attempts to legislate away women's personal decisions time and time again. These efforts always cause the greatest harm to women of color and those without resources, as we've discussed over and over again today, those who face the greatest obstacles to traveling long distances just to get the care that they need. But this attack also poses a grave new risk that any of our constitutional rights could become the focus of a strange system of vigilante justice, a system in which neighbor is pitted against neighbor, eroding the sacred trust that binds our communities. And I am deeply troubled by what this law could mean for the constitutional right to abortion and all of our constitutional rights if this vigilante scheme is allowed to continue and be replicated. And I am so pleased today that we are able to shed light on the experiences of people in Texas that are this is already happening to them right now. And that we will continue to see this spread throughout the country if our courts are not going to uphold the Constitution. And before we get started today, I just want to know, Professor Bridges, is there anything that you would like to respond to?
Oh my God, thank you so much for the opportunity to respond. I would love to respond to some of the comments that were just made by Representative Owens. He speaks about the higher rates of abortion amongst Black people. He doesn't mention the reasons for that. The reasons for the higher rates of abortion are not because Black people have been taught that abortion is cool. The reasons for the higher rates of abortion are due to poverty. They're due to the lack of access to contraception. It's due to the fact that people are not being educated about sex and pregnancy in public schools. It's due to the inaccessibility of healthcare. So those are the reasons for the higher rates of abortion among Black people. And the suggestion that Black people are terminating pregnancies because we think it's cool suggests that he thinks that Black women are stupid. I assure you, Black people are not stupid. They're using abortion care to exact a modicum of control over their lives, especially when they're mired in structural conditions that make it impossible for them to control their lives otherwise. He didn't mention at all what happens when we restrict abortion. We force birth. People are ignoring that throughout this entire hearing. We're forcing birth. And particularly, we need to pay attention to the fact that we're forcing Black people to give birth in a country in which we have terrible rates of maternal mortality compared to our peers. And we have racial disparities in maternal mortality, meaning that 3 to 4 times as many Black people should expect to die during pregnancy, childbirth, or shortly thereafter. So we're forcing Black people to engage in a task that is dangerous to their lives. And finally, we live in a country in which poverty is defined as neglect, and that Black people can expect to have their children taken away from them by the child welfare system, by the family regulation system. This is a cruel set of circumstances that we're creating, where we force birth, we force people to engage in a task that is dangerous to them, Black people to engage in a task that is dangerous to them, and then we have them create families that we so easily dissolve through the family regulation system. So I think it's important to understand all of that context and not to attribute the rates of abortion amongst Black people to, we think it's cool.
I want to thank you very much for expanding upon that and telling us the truth of the nature of what's really happening in the country. Dr. Mayotte, your testimony notes that SB 8 will have consequences for people with highly desired pregnancies who have pregnancy complications. Can you expand on those complications that might lead a doctor to discuss the option of abortion even when a pregnancy is wanted?
Yeah, so like even at maybe 15, 16 weeks, a bag of water can break the amniotic fluid. This is a condition where the treatment is
Young lady's
immediate
time
delivery.
has expired. Ms. McClintock is recognized.